Hey there, welcome to our Twitter space today. Happy to have you guys here. We're just going to get started with our conversation on how to grow your brand for business, career, and a better life. Um, this past week was actually a lot of fun for me personally because I was celebrating Eid with my family, and I just want to ask Indra, how was your weekend?
Oh, hey, Bobby. That sounds wonderful. I saw some of the visuals of your family enjoying coming together and celebrating and eating food and just all that familyness. It was beautiful. My weekend was very relaxing. We did squeeze in a nice bike ride around Lake Hollywood. And, as usual, a little bit of gardening, a little bit of family. So it was wonderful. Thanks so much for asking.
No problem. And how about you, Melanie? How was your weekend?
My weekend was good. It was really quiet. We had a major rainstorm on Saturday, so I actually just kind of stayed in because it was just nasty outside. So got, just a few errands done, but finally, knock on wood, I think I'm finally feeling like at least somewhat normal after COVID. So my energy definitely is slowly coming back, but I'm not sure about uh, got to see about this working out thing if that's gonna, because I've just been doing walks around my neighborhood, going get my morning coffee, and that's still kind of pushing it. So, but got 2 miles in yesterday, so and I felt good afterwards. So,
That's good.
see what happens.
Okay, we got to pace yourself. Okay, well,
Yep.
it looks like we need to. I know we're starting at different times. We may need to do a little bit of extra promotion to
Yeah.
get people in the room to start the conversation. But I mean, the reason why I chose a topic was because obviously growing your brand is a great topic that Indra suggested that can last, that can benefit anybody. And I think my point was talking about branding, personal branding, thought leadership branding, whatever kind of branding you want to say, it's applicable to lots of things. So if you're trying to grow your business, if you're trying to have a more aligned career, if you're trying to even just have a more meaningful life with of impact that goes beyond the workplace and more of a personal thing, I think that's kind of where the topic kind of is relevant to me. So I think I'm not sure what the next way to go is, what you guys want to do, but I think what we want to do is we want to start inviting more people and pinging a few folks. I put the tweet in the top there so that people can will come and can retweet it, and of course we welcome people to come up on stage to ask their questions or share stories or be part of the conversation, and that's really a big part of what it is. With that, I'll start as I normally do, which is I'll let my co-hosts do their introductions, and I'll do a bit more pinging and whatnot, and we'll kind of go from there. So Indra, over to you, and then passed on to Melanie.
Okay, thank you. And I was sorry, I was just actually sharing out the space with a few friends. So let's hope we get some more bodies in. So, hello everyone. I'm Indra Bartona. I'm a producer in the film and television industry. I'm also the founder of the Positivity Vibe Tribe, a global community. What we actually have is two spaces, one on Wednesday, one on Thursday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we talk about loads and loads of topics, but our main focus is around living a positive lifestyle and, of course, gratitude, law of attraction, um, all those things, and more. So over to you, Melanie.
Thanks, Sandra. Yes, and my name is Melanie Mitchell Wexler. I am a former recruiter, now turned career coach, and I work with individuals and help them with everything from their resumes to their LinkedIn profiles, LinkedIn strategy in particular, but also getting them ready for interviewing, networking, and job searching, and how to actually do that in today's crazy market. And this is a topic that definitely resonates because as coming from the corporate world into entrepreneurship and having to build a brand from literally nothing and scratch it, I'm a work in progress on this, so I'm excited to be able to talk about this today. Back over to you, Bobby.
Yeah, so the topic today is how to grow your brand for business, career, and a better life. And again, we're gonna this this is going to be recorded. It's recorded right now, and it'll be a replay, so people can get the access to the insights afterwards, which is fine. If you want to retweet the thing up there and ping a few friends, let's get more people in the room. But let's start with the main reason why branding is so important. I mean, one of the reasons I talk about branding, personal branding or thought leadership branding, is that branding is a way for you to get clarity and focus and direction on who you are and what you're trying to do for the world. So that's the first piece of branding. The other part of branding is that when you do have clarity, when you do have purpose, when you do have focus, then your work or your brand will stand out. And that's why doing the work on branding is so important. Now, when it comes to personal branding, this is really about your personal, individual brand of who you are, your journey, your story, your legacy. And we want that to be shown to people. We want that to be clear to people. And we want you to build a life that's more meaningful and more aligned. And so the one thing I'll tell you is that most people don't want to do the work. Most people try to do shortcuts or try to short step to get to whatever they want to do. And then 6 months later or 2 years later, they're disappointed that it's not going the way they thought it should be. And I cannot tell you how important it is to dive deep and do the work on the personal branding piece, because it does save you a lot of time in the long run. And I always tell people, are you willing to invest 50 hours of your time for 500,000 hours of joy, fulfillment, purpose, and impact? And if that's what you want, then you'll invest the time in the branding piece. And the reason why we say branding is also helpful for the three different areas, for your business, if you have a strong brand, you're more likely to get clients because there's greater trust, there's greater focus on the target audience in terms of what they need. If you're using your personal brand to build your career, you're going to choose a path that's more aligned with who you are, your values, your personality traits, the things that you care about. And then for a better life, I mean, one of the things that personal branding does for us, personal branding gives you three things. It gives you more focus, which we talked about in terms of where you want to go and what you want to do. It gives you more impact because you get results and you make things happen for yourself and for your business and for your career and whatnot. But there's also another piece called alignment, where what you're doing is more aligned with who you are. It's more meaningful. It's more values based. And so even having a strong, clear personal brand will actually help you have a better life. So when I look at the brand that I've created for myself, aligned with who I am, the work that I do, where I live downtown, having my kids, all the things that I'm doing, it's all part of a much more meaningful life that I love. And so for me, those are the reasons why you need to really invest in the brand. And of course, we'll talk more specifically about questions and topics on how to get started and what to do and things like that. But I wanted to start by sharing why it's so important. I thought I'd open up to my hosts to see if they had any thoughts on why it's so important to work on your brand.
Absolutely, Bobby, and really love all the points that you just raised about about the brand and the importance of establishing the brand and growing the brand. Wanted to give a quick shout out to some friends in the space as well as new faces. Ajim, thank you for joining us. You were here at the beginning. Akim, King, Dej, John, Arnaldo, who's a regular in many of my spaces. Wonderful to see you, my friend. And also thank you to the partners of Positivity Vibe Tribe. Bunsen and Beaker are here in the space and who have a fantastic brand and work very hard on that. So if you're able to share, appreciate that. And if not, thank you for your support in the space. So also wanted to just say, well, I think the most important thing with having a brand and growing a brand is that it gives you a basis to start somewhere, to think about the basics about what you want for your brand. And even if you've started something, it's never too late to tweak the direction of it. Just growing your brand is the purpose of wherever you are on the journey, I feel. And how to grow your brand? Well, I know that you guys are in great hands because Bobby and Melanie and myself, we have some very different but similar ideas on this journey, but we all support the growth. So they're just some initial thoughts. Melanie, over to you.
Yeah, and I would just add that one of the things that I encounter a lot when I'm working with job seekers in particular, is a lot of people are like, oh, famous people have brands, products, companies have brands, products, things like that. But I'm not a brand, like I'm a person. And I think that's something that embracing that we each do have a personal brand, and what is our goal, like understanding what your goal is. And that's going to be different for entrepreneur, maybe very different for an entrepreneur, but it can also be something that you can use in your career if you want to be seen as a thought leader, as an expert in your field. What is the message that you're conveying? What is the story that you're telling? And so I think it's really important for people to really understand that and embrace that it, because I think some, I don't know where maybe it started, but I think some people are like, I don't know if I have a brand, like it's kind of like an icky thing. But it's not. I mean, we all have stories that we need, that should be told, that need to be told. And so embracing that and knowing what direction you want to go with, I think is really a good place to start, but also really important for you as well.
Bobby, can I jump in and just ask you, for people that haven't actually really dived into their brand, can you kind of lay out what are sort of the beginning phases? Because I think this is really valuable, and I don't remember that we've ever covered this, and I know that you have a lot of thoughts on this.
Yeah, so I mean, when it comes to diving into your personal brand and understanding what that is for, again, the clarity, focus, and purpose and whatnot, is the work it requires you to do. I have a whole methodology of this. So I have an online course that takes you through the entire methodology, but the methodology is basically this. Number one, you do your own personal self-assessment, which is basically diving into your values, your personality traits, your interests, your skills, the stories of your life that are meaningful to you versus the ones that weren't so meaningful to you. Then the second piece is a feedback mechanism. So now you go to your network, you talk to your employers, your work colleagues, your subordinates, your family members, your friends, and get them to also share what their take is on who you are. So that you can see, because your brand is a perception that is created by those around you. So to understand how these people see you and feel you and experience you is a big part of it. Then the third part I tell people is to do online assessments. So there's certain personality assessments like StrengthFinders, Myers-Briggs, Enneagram, things like that, that can give you a really good insight into who you are. Not to pigeonhole you, but to actually give you some guidelines and the things that are that are known about you or that are about you that fit. And then in doing that full analysis, you'll start to see the themes that and the threads that actually link together. So, for example, when I did my personal branding journey, I already knew that I was a people guy. But when I did the process, I erased that from my current memory and just let me just do the process. And what happened was, I believed in my own self-assessment showed that I was really into people and connection and things like relationship building. But then when I did a survey and the feedback came in, that everyone believed that everyone said Bobby is a people guy. And then when I did three different personality assessments, all three of them said Bobby's a people guy. And when I did that, it validated and empowered me to know that whatever I do with my life, it's got to involve people. There's got to be a people component to it. And it's different when, half the people say you are and half don't. Or let's say two personality assessments say Bobby's a detail-oriented guy, and then two other assessments say Bobby's more of a big picture guy and not a detailed guy. And so that's not really compelling. But when they all say I'm a people guy, I'm like, yes, people guy, absolutely. And so that process worked really, really well. And typically what I look at too is the areas that I already mentioned the areas, but there's values, personality traits, interests, skills, things you're interested in, passionate about, skills, and the stories of your life that are meaningful to you. And when we look at all those things, that's how we start to extract. We dive deep. We extract the personal brand elements that make you who you are. So that's kind of my process that I do for people, and it's a long process. I mean, I've had some people, like that's what I said, 50 hours of work. It's a lot of work, but in the end, in the end it works out really well for people. So hope that answers the question.
Yeah, that was awesome. Thank you for all the detail, and especially for people that are thinking about forming their personal brand. I think that was really valuable. Thanks so much, Bobby.
Awesome. So we'd like to invite some of you guys to come up on stage. If you want to come on stage and ask a question or share your thoughts, or what kind of what do you work what is your brand currently? What kind of brand are you trying to build? Where are you working on it in terms of your business or your career? All you do is put your hand up and be on stage, and that's a way to also set yourself apart as a brand, because when you put your hand up and come on stage, you become more memorable to everybody in the room. I understand some people are working, so it doesn't work out. But if you want to put your hand up and come up on here, we'd love to have you on the platform. So put your hand up, join us. Now what we're going to do is we're going to dive deeper into the different aspects. So I'm actually going to start with the how to grow your brand for a better life, because one of the things I like to do when it comes to branding work and deep dive work, one of the things that branding does for you is that if you've done the deep dive analysis, you know who you are. The better life comes from having, we talked about having more meaningful activation of your brand. And so for me, I worked on a why statement for myself. And so having a clear brand identity helps you identify the mission, the vision of who you are, but it also helps you identify your why statement. And so my why statement is something that's been really, really important to me. And my why statement is this: there are lost, stuck, or unfulfilled leaders everywhere. And what that means is everywhere I go, I meet people who feel lost in their career, stuck in their jobs, or unfulfilled in their relationships. And so, having done the personal brand piece and understand the why statement, this is how my target audience feels. I understand their pain point. I've been there myself, and so it fuels me. But not only does it fuel me from a business perspective, it fuels me as a person. It fuels me for my life. I see my kids and I think, okay, you know what? They might feel lost, stuck, unfulfilled. Let me help them out. I see my wife. She may feel lost, stuck, unfulfilled one day. Let me help her out. I see my parents, my friends. Everything about my personal life is fueled also by my why statement, even though my why statement originally was designed for my business. And that's why I love having that why statement. And that's why I think it's so great for your personal fulfillment, your personal journey, to invest in branding and get clarity on what exactly is your why statement and your purpose for being who you are. And we actually have a speaker on stage with their hand up, so I'll let them go first. Please go ahead and introduce yourself and share your thought or comment or question.
Hey, Bobby. My name's Michael, and I had a quick question. You mentioned Myers-Briggs and Enneagram. If I had to guess, I would guess you are either ESFP or ENFJ, and I would guess your Enneagram as either type 3 or type 7. Thank you.
You gotta put your money where your mouth is, right? So, do you want me to tell you the truth? Because I don't want to make you wrong. so,
I can handle the
so
truth.
yeah. So you're incorrect, but I appreciate what you've said. Um, I'm an ENFP for Myers-Briggs, although ESFP is pretty close. That's that, but and the other one, but ENFP is what I've been my whole life. But I resonate with the other ones as well, so it's totally fine. And then for the Enneagram, you are partially correct. I mean, two is a big part of who I am, so I think that's great. And yeah, for those of you who don't know Enneagram or ENFP, those are really good. The thing is, you should do multiple. I always tell people, tell my clients, you have to do more than one. Don't just do one. Do multiple assessments. So I always say StrengthFinder, Enneagram, and Myers-Briggs to start. There's three there. There's lots of other ones too. I mean, there's Beckman's, and there's the 360 leadership model, and there's colors, and there's lots of other ones. But those are three that I would often recommend, because when you do three assessments, you take the threads of all three that say the same thing. That's the part that's really important, because if all three assess the same thing, then it's really valid and it's going to be helpful to your brand. So I think that's an important piece to understand. But thanks for sharing that, Michael. I really do appreciate it, and thanks for coming on stage. Coming on stage sets you apart, man. So I think that's good. So stick around stage if you want. If you want to pipe in again, you're more than welcome to.
I knew that you were definitely an E and an F. The S or the N, I didn't know, which is why I said both. Same thing with the J and the P. But yeah, I can definitely see ENFP for you. And you said you were also a type 2 on the Enneagram?
Yeah, for the most part. I mean, I tend to be a type of person that's pretty broad and diverse, so I fit a lot of different molds. But two is one of the ones that. And why don't you tell our listeners, what does two mean? Can you explain that to us? Do you remember?
To my understanding, 2 is often named the helper. And so they love people and they love to help out people. So that makes total sense. And I did guess 3 for you, which is right on the border, because I definitely see you as the on the 2-3 spectrum there, because 3 is known as the achiever. And so that makes total sense.
Yeah, yeah. Two and three are the big ones that fit me the best. So I appreciate you sharing that. Thanks so much for that. If anyone's ever done those tests, you're more than welcome to try it out, and I think you'll learn a lot by doing so. Let me go to Indra let's go to Melanie actually. Melanie, anything you want to share in regards to? Uh, I want to focus on the first part, which is the better life aspect. Any thoughts on that, and then we'll get to the career piece.
Yeah, I mean, I think the better life aspect comes when you start getting clarity in terms of what your brand is. So when you start doing the work, it starts to filter into other aspects, because oftentimes we push the heart. I mean, this isn't easy work. I mean, it takes time. I mean, yeah. I mean, I love a good personality test. I mean, I could take them all day, and that, and things like that. But then it's like, okay, now that I kind of know who I am, and but really understanding like your why, for example. I mean, that does take time. It takes some time to dive into that and develop it. But where that leads is once we're becoming true to ourselves in terms of what we are passionate about what we want to lead with, who we want to connect with, then other aspects of our lives really start to improve as well. I truly believe that, because we're becoming truer to ourselves in terms of what drives us, and what makes us happy. And not just and I think you can have dualities in your world of having whether it's working full time but having a side project that also feeds your soul and things of that nature. So I think that's where, to me, that that improvement in your life comes from, is really understanding what drives you and what motivates you to help, whether it's to help others, it's to grow in a multi-million dollar business, whatever it is. Then you'll start to see that show up in other aspects of your life as well.
I love that, Melanie. Andrea, what do you think about the branding to create a better life for yourself?
Well, I think this is really exciting, because the biggest piece and takeaway from this and is that when we kind of tune in and we really narrow the focus, and we laser tune this piece of, well, how could this build a better life? It's really about, okay, well, is this something that I'm really passionate about? Is this something I'm really interested in? Is this something that would excite me to wake up every morning? If the answer is yes, then you will be building a better life, not just for yourself, but for others, because this type of energy is contagious, everybody. It's contagious that you love what you're doing. It just comes out in every single thing that you do with your brand. Whether you're making a post, whether it's the content, you put in that extra mile, whether it's, you're speaking, whether you're teaching, whether you're sharing, uh, all those things just emanate from within you. And so that's why it really is so important to figure out, well, what is your niche? What do I love? What am I passionate about? What would I just like to be reading about and researching about, regardless of, what time it is? What are the things that really, inspire me? So this basis is going to create a better life, because you have that deep interest, you have that passion for the topic, and that's something that you can't just create. It's, for example, I mean, I'm not going to be passionate about fixing cars. It's just not going to happen for me. It's not exciting for me. But what is exciting for me is other things, right? There's many other things that I'm passionate about, that I'm interested in, but maybe I wouldn't build my brand on. So that's another point just to consider. So, if you are kind of toggling between, well, I'm doing this, but maybe I should be doing something else, to niche down and figure out, well, what are the things really that make me passionate. I want to give a shout out to Success Minded, who's my partner on the Wednesdays and Thursdays spaces. Hey, great to see you, my friend. Thank you so much for joining us. Always appreciate your support in the space. And all the other new people that have joined us, thank you so much for hopping into the space, and invite everybody up to join us in this discussion if you have any questions about branding. But I really feel the passion piece and finding that part where you want to really jump in and engage in the purpose. Oh, hey, shout out to Sam, one of our newest members in the Positivity Vibe Tribe community. Thank you so much for finding us over here. Really appreciate you. I really feel like this purpose piece, that can really create a better life, because ultimately, at the end of the day, we spend a lot of time, everybody, doing our jobs. And so if we're not really happy about doing the things that we're doing, and we're spending a lot of time, we're investing a lot of time, everybody. The investment is huge. I mean, in creating your own brand, I mean, you want to be really crazy about this topic. If you're going to build this, you want to believe in it 200%. So they're just some of my thoughts on that. Bobby, back over to you.
First off, I want to say I love what you said about about love, right? When you love what you're doing, you love your purpose, you love your brand, then it's going to manifest itself into everything you're doing. Because when I have my why statement, I love what I'm doing, I love who I am, I love my purpose, then that love feeds into this room. That love feeds into my coaching calls. That love feeds into everything that I'm passionate about in terms of audio rooms I run, coaching calls I have, speaking gigs that I do. And so, excuse me, sorry, I have a little bit of a cough here and sore throat. But when you really get clarity on that brand around your life and there's love in everything you're doing, it's going to elevate everything you do. And I think, someone asked me earlier today, because it's funny, I was on a sales call where they were selling me. And they're asking me the same question I ask other people, right? It's like, how to feel and, and all that kind of stuff, and asking me the emotional questions. But they're asking me, like, how does it feel if, what joy do you get out of your work? And I said there's certainly a personal satisfaction when I can help people. And I get so much meaning from that. And it's so important to me. And so again, the love piece I think is incredibly important. So thank you so much for that, Andrew. That was really, really great. We're talking about how to grow your brand, your personal brand, your thought leadership brand, your brand for your business, your career, and a better life. And personal branding and branding in itself is incredibly important. We talked about that in the beginning here. And I saw Joel Lalji was in the room, but he left. So I wanted to give him a shout out, but I guess he left. I see Sebastian there too. If he's able to come up, we'd love to have him on stage as well. I want to now switch over to Melanie for talking about branding for your career. Melanie's a career expert, so I'd love to hear your thoughts and take this conversation to the next phase.
Thanks, Bobby. Yeah, I mean, I think when it comes to your career, you first off have to you really have to be very clear on the message that you're sending to not just whether it's your current employer or your potential employer, but what do you want to be known for? What are you really like? What is your superpower? And I know that's a term that's often overused, but one of the things that I see happen in this job market today in particular is that first off, we all know there's so much competition on any given day. And you may feel like, well, how many project managers can there be out in the world? Literally, how am I going to compete against every single project manager? The truth is you don't have to. You have to embrace what you're skilled with. What are your, quote unquote superpowers? What are you really good at? And you bring that to the table. Oftentimes, I think we try when we think about whether we're starting off with a personal brand, maybe we've never even given it any thought, but we often try to be everything to everyone. And that's where people, especially in their careers, are missing their mark, because what they really need to do is hone in on specific skill sets, specific abilities. So whether you are, it's not a bad thing to be an introvert, for example, which is in my wheelhouse. If I look back at my career, 20 years as a recruiter, which is very heavily sales dominated, I was not a natural born salesperson. I mean, I'm the first to admit that. I had, bosses tell me that all the time. I did not fit the mold of what they expected a strong salesperson to be. However, I was also one of the most successful recruiters in my field. I mean, in my first year of recruiting, I, sold over $1 million worth of services, and that's an acknowledgement that, I held to I hold to this day. The reason is because I used my strengths. So my strengths are listening, processing information, really understanding what people are saying, and being able to translate that. And then I would go off and find them the right person for their for their job that they were wanting us to hire for. Oftentimes, and I think I've probably told this story before. Maybe I'm not sure if I've told it here. I would be on the phone. I'd have my headset on, and people often would be like, "Is she on the phone? Is she talking to somebody?" I would not. I half the time I would just be listening. I would not do the majority of the talking. And again, that was in the staffing and the recruiting industry very not normal. You had a ton of people always over talking. You had them always trying to get their attention. And I went the opposite route because you know what? That worked for me. And I ultimately built a 20-year career on that. So that's when I work with clients in particular, I really try to hone in on what makes you special? What makes you stand out? And so instead of trying to be everything to everyone, embrace embrace your top skills, embrace that and showcase that. And that's really ultimately where then you start to build your brand from, because that's what you can be known for and how to make yourself stand out. So I hope that helps.
Indra, any thoughts on what Melanie's been saying?
Yeah, so many great points, Melanie, and that's the thing that you really nailed. I feel is why is your brand important? Like, what is the thing? Because it's easy to look at. I mean, okay, so if we look at these huge brands out there, it's really easy to pinpoint what are they famous for? What is their thing? And so you want other people to think of your brand and then think, oh, Bobby's the thought leadership guy. Oh, that's easy. Um, you know, um, Bunsen and Beaker. Oh, pets and science. Success minded. How to, success. Thoughts. Thoughts become things. I mean, just how to. I mean, that's an account that is always giving information on how to be, how to be successful in life. The end game. So when you think about a lot of these accounts, they're really clear, as in what are their objectives? What is their brand all about? And that's a thing that you want to be known for. And with mine, it's positivity, living a positive lifestyle. So we always want to be focused on the things that, look at the bigger examples and then measure yourself against that. Not measure yourself as in to be hard on yourself, but as in to see, oh, well, is there, am I doing something that is similar? What are they doing? And that's always a great thing to do, right? To actually study those really big brands out there. I mean, wow, they really, I mean, their marketing, it's everywhere, right? I mean, look at McDonald's, look at Nike. I mean, look at some of the biggest brands that are out there, and then relate it back to you, to your personal brand. So we're going to make it more personal because it's our brand. We're not a big corporation. We're bringing it down to a personal level. But they give you a lot of examples. Another thing is, well, why is it so important to nurture this and how it can create a better life? Well, having that, it's like it's your self brand. So as I mentioned, it not only that, but it creates a personal, like the brand, which is personal, creates trust, credibility, and with your target audience. So as you're building, you can tweak it in any which way, and provided that, you are putting in the effort into your content and that your audience can see where you're going. And you can also share other facets of yourself, which is, tell stories as Bobby is always encouraging, share stories. And that's something that also I've been really doing. Thank you, Bobby, because your encouragement in the Twitter spaces more and more. Share things about yourself, because everybody is curious and they want to know a little bit about you. And also they want to know your story of how did you get to your personal brand? Like, what is the story behind it? How did it all start? So don't forget about those stories, which are really valuable. Um, and because you want to be relatable, having a personal brand, that's the thing. Can other people relate to you? Are you relatable? Yes or no? It's like it's really black or white, that piece. And creating your personal brand, you want to highlight those pieces of yourself, of your unique personality. And, when we look at some of the personal brands that are even in the room here, we can really see that they're doing those things. They're highlighting their personality, they're creating interesting content, and even, okay, so even, and sometimes it can even be fun and quirky. If you look at the Bunsen and Beaker account, there's a lot of fun stuff because it's a dog account that they do. And so these sorts of examples you can bring into, your own brand, those fun elements, and also find out what works with your audience. Certain content will work and others won't. And that's okay too. That's about you being flexible as a creator of your brand and steering the direction of your content, basically. Back over to you, Bobby.
And I think there's something to be said about being relatable. I mean, a big part of your brand management and building a brand is, first they are aware of you is the first thing that happens. The second thing is they're not familiar with you in terms of who you are, what you do. And then eventually they like you and they trust you and they know the value you bring. And that's the same thing for business and the same thing for a career. And so using stories and sharing who you are and sharing your journey is one of the best ways to build that trust, that likability, that awareness, that familiarity. And it's also a way for you to set yourself apart too. So I think for most of us, that's something that we should all be thinking about when it comes to talking about our careers. Because the other thing with the career journey, every single one of us can relate to this. I mean, we've all been there, even from we were little kids. Like, what do you want to be when you grow up, and all that kind of stuff. I mean, we all totally get it. So being able to share your career journey, the career stories, and make that part of your brand, content creation and things like that, I think will go a long way to making you more likable, relatable, and trustworthy. So, I often talk about my business. I talk about my career. I talk about all. I mean, for me, like I share stories of struggle across all areas. I share stories of struggle as an entrepreneur and as a parent, and that's part of my personal life. I also talk about my health issues, my diabetes, my body image issues. That's personal stuff. I talk about my career in terms of trying to find myself because I was lost as a leader. And then I talk about stuff about my business. So these are all things that I talk about, but that makes it more relatable. And that also helps with my brand because then people may want to book a call or work with me. So I think that what you said there was really, really great. So we're talking about how to grow your brand for a business career and a better life. And we understand the importance of it. I guess the question I want to ask in the audience, you want to come up on the stage and put your hand up, is what's stopping you? What's stopping you from doing the work to get more clarity on your brand? What's stopping you from doing the work to elevate your brand and put yourself out there so that you can actually get noticed, stand out, be memorable, and book the things you want for your business or career. What's stopping you from wanting to build more meaningfulness, more alignment with your values, more joy, happiness, fulfillment? Because I understand that it's work, but what's stopping you? So that's the question I would ask you, because I want you to think about that. Because the benefits of putting the work in and getting that clarity, focus, and alignment is incredible. And what I can tell you right now is that one of the things I love doing when I work with people is when I work on their personal brand and identify their brand elements, and we come up with a why statement or a mission or vision that they're really excited about. Their face lights up. It's amazing. It's just an amazing thing to see and to feel. And I love that when it happens. It's such an amazing, amazing moment. The moment you understand your passion and purpose and what you were born to do and what you want to do and how you want to live the rest of your life, you want the rest of your life to start right away. And it's very, very exciting. It's very, very appealing. And I cannot tell you how important that investment is to get there. And one of the clients I worked with her for almost a whole year, but we did a lot of work on the deep dive. But now, like having done a year into it, she's like, Bobby, I'm so much more confident. I'm so much more fulfilled. I'm getting what I want. I'm making the money that I want. I got the promotion that I wanted. Everything's coming to focus. It's more clear, and I know what I want to do, and I also know what I don't want to do. And I love that, even though it was a long journey, because to be honest, I'll be very transparent with you guys. When I work with clients, most people don't want to do the deep dive work, the long work. They want to shortcut it all the time. And she was one of the few clients that was willing to, she was fully invested in the process. She really wanted to do the whole thing because she's like, I'm 54 years old. I've been, flailing around for 20 years and I'm not having the focus that I want, the impact that I want. So let me just do this. And she's like, I trust you, Bobby. Let's do it. And then she did it, and now she's in a much better space, and I think that's so great. So I'm glad she did it, but I will say it's a rare thing. That's a rare thing. So maybe I'll put it to the panel, and Melanie, I can ask this question: what stops people from investing in their brand?
I really think this is that's a good question, Bobby. But I really think it's just not. I really think it honestly a lot of times even when starting kind of like a business, it's just like I'm keep leaning back to wanting to say kind of like the unknown, but it's just really I think it's a lot of it is just being overwhelmed of like where you start. Like it's one thing to say like I'm a career coach, but there's I mean, how many career coaches in this world? So how do I differentiate myself? It takes work. It takes a hard work, and and it's not that I think people are afraid to do the hard work, but it's a very overwhelming thing. I think to hear, what is your brand? What is your why statement? And I'm still like I'm kind of in like I think for me even personally just a transitional period of really better aligning and it's okay to, and I want to say this, it's okay to know that your why may change. Your brand may change. Your direction may change as you progress, whether it's your business or career. That's just, I mean, that's part of life. That's part of, getting better at something and, wanting to focus on something. So for me, I feel like it's just that overwhelming piece of like, well, where do I start? And can I really get there? And so I hope that makes sense, but I'd love to hear what Indra has to say.
Melanie, yeah, I think you really nailed a lot of the points that I was thinking about. But the other thing is, I think that a lot of reason why people don't go ahead and do this is it's all about the mindset. So first of all, there's two components of this, really. There's a lot of our self-talk, and so we have a lot of self-doubt about particularly starting something new. Like there's, on average, we have over 70,000 thoughts a day, between 50 and 70,000 thoughts a day. So particularly when we're thinking about, I'm going to start this, I'm going to start something new, and it's going to be personal brand or whatever it is, there are going to be all these thoughts are going to rush over that are going to sort of strike that idea down, possibly in our subconscious. And some of them we won't even be aware of, but we'll kind of be feeling weird, or like, oh, maybe it's not a good idea. Some will be insidious and float through. So there is that component of our own self-doubt and our own abilities, that we are questioning, and we have to have, we have to move past that and be able to challenge that for ourselves and clearly have a path that, okay, I'm going to do this regardless of some of these thoughts that are in my mind. Okay, I'm going to defy my mind, right, and those thoughts. I'm going to show you. And then secondly, the other thing is, look, so many times when we're doing something in life, and it could even be a new job, it could be anything. This applies to many, many different things. It could even be buying a home, it could be buying a car, it could be buying a handbag, it could be anything, right? We have a lot of people around us that have opinions, and they can be anything from family, friends, colleagues, neighbors, people that don't even know you that well. A lot of people are going to have opinions. And look, a lot of people are going to challenge your idea, or they're going to have a different path for you set, particularly if there's somebody that, is maybe a parent or, a loved one, even, a partner in a relationship, a husband or wife. Sometimes, we're not getting the support even from those people that are close to us. And, you would be surprised. I know it's happened to a lot of people. It's happened to me. And you just have to really kind of dig deep, that if you're not getting support from, that external circle, it really does come back to you. How much do you want to do this? Are you really that passionate about this topic? Sometimes you might want to also listen to their feedback, because you can turn that around and make things work for yourself if you're open to that. Um, Negative feedback or criticism is not always a bad thing if you're able to take it, if you're able to take that and think about it and work with that, because maybe they're identifying something that you could utilize, but you're not ready to utilize in some shape or form. So it's, these people care about you, love you, or maybe they're the frenemies sitting on the sideline. And they're going to have all sorts of feedback for you. And have lots of feedback for you. So just be prepared and wear your armor in that case, in those situations. But in those situations, be prepared. So there are all these different aspects that I identify, and also as creating my own personal brand, the Positivity Vibe Tribe, I went through various, hoops and hurdles and input from various parties. Back over to you, Bobby.
Go ahead, Melanie.
Yeah, I was just going to say, so when I was first starting off, I went through a very tumultuous time with my own career, because honestly, coaching wasn't on my radar. I was going to go to corporate recruiting, and I had a lot of setbacks. This was back in 2017 in particular, and I had an acquaintance. He was not a friend. It was an acquaintance who said to me, and and it was starting to build, like people were starting to like hire me to do their resumes, and and I was starting to like do like, hey, can you help me prepare for this interview? And so it was just slowly building, and I was like, oh, maybe I could do this to earn some extra cash. And when I finally made the decision to become a coach full time, I really kept that close to the vest. But I told a few people, and this gentleman found out about it, and he said, well, how can you be a coach when you don't have your life in order? And that was a very pivotal. So when Indra mentioned that, about the frenemies, that was a very pivotal time, because I could have made a choice to like let that person take my energy, or let that person control that thought. And I mean, it did enter my head. It was like, well, I don't really have my life together. But the reality is, who does? And but it didn't. What was happening in my life on the outskirts of it had nothing to do with the fact that I actually have 20. I have 20 years of experience in the recruiting world. I have knowledge. I have expertise. That wasn't a race because I hit some bumps in the road. And so I, had to really take that. I didn't have that. I didn't have somebody giving me that advice, Indra, at the time. I just went with it and just said, you know what? I have to protect myself. I have to not allow those true voices in, and I owe it to myself to pursue this. And so I think that is very sound advice, is that you do, even if it is a close. I've been lucky that my family was really supportive of this endeavor, but some families aren't, because they're probably scared. But you have to kind of, you have to balance that and make sure that you're following a true direction in what's best for you. Back to you, Bobby.
Thanks, Melanie. And we got Sebastian on stage, which is great. I've worked with him. He's a very awesome guy. So, Sebastian, we'd love to hear your thoughts.
Thank you very much. I'm hearing all these amazing shares about how do you find your brand and how do you represent it and how do you show it. And I can say this because comparing to everyone else next to me, you see on stage right now, they are like way more advanced than me. I came in for marketing, digital marketing, social media marketing for the last 8 years, but my own personal brand, I started only in 2021, February, when I first went onto Clubhouse. I know this is Twitter. I get that. We're on the right platform. And let me give you this one analogy that may help you find your brand and your true voice and your clients and everything. And the analogy is very simple. How do you know what flavor of ice cream do you like? The easiest way to find out is to go into an ice cream shop and taste whatever flavor you can lay your hands on. When I first came on LinkedIn, I know LinkedIn very well, but I never put my own face on it. And if you have the time, scroll through my content, have fun with it. And you would discover I talked about everything. And it took me a while to find what really worked for me. So it's like tasting ice cream in an ice cream parlor. Go ahead and try it out. You will very soon learn what you don't like and what you love doing, what you can't talk about anymore because you're just up to your nose with it. And you'll find out what you really love and you're passionate about. And when you find that, don't let it go, because people will see that passion in you and your voice and everything, and they would love you for it. Because the one thing we often forget as content producers, as branders, as entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, is this: we take ourselves for granted. We think that whatever we know is basic knowledge for everybody. We think that whatever we are very good at is just something that everyone else can do. Because when we look left and we look right, we see people on our level or high level, because we keep our network that way so we can grow. But don't forget to look back where you came from. Don't forget to reach your hand out to people with less knowledge than you, because in helping them, you're helping yourself. In showing them what you can do, you are establishing yourself as a thought leader, like everyone else on the stage is doing right now. And when you do that, you build naturally your audience on your network, whatever network you're on, whatever channel you're on. And if you can do it in a fun way, an educational way that people remember you for, even better. But if you can't, don't worry. You will find a way to reach your audience always. So don't forget to keep tasting the ice cream and find your own favorite flavor. By the way, mine is peanut butter booster and salted caramel on chocolate. Back to you, Bobby.
Oh man, my favorite ice cream. I'm sadly I'm a vanilla guy, but I mean I definitely like things like pecans or maple walnut or something like that. That's kind of where I go. But I love the analogy of the ice cream flavor. In fact, that's why when I told people earlier today about the personal branding process, one of the things I talked about is looking at the stories of your life. And what you're doing is you look at every single story and moment in your life that you loved, that you, let's say, didn't love, and the ones that were kind of in the middle. Because what that represents is all the different ice cream flavors you've tried that worked for you and ones that didn't work for you. And in doing so, you get a far, far better idea and focus on exactly where you want to align your brand. So, and this also reminds me of the idea of when it comes to when you grow your brand, people often ask me, well, do I put content out there and talk to people and say stuff, or while I still haven't figured out my brand, or do I figure out my brand first, then reach out? And I say you do them both at the same time. You should be putting content out there. You should be reaching out to people and building relationships at the same time working on your brand. You do both at the same time. And the more you talk to people, the more you put content out there, the more you get feedback into who you are, what they like, what they don't like, and that can help you um, formulate and evolve the brand the way you want it to be, aligned with who you are. And so I think you do both things at the same time, and that's where it starts to do quite well for you. So for those of you listening in, again, we have been having a great conversation today on how to grow your brand for business, career, and a better life. We do the Thought Leadership Brand Club. We do the weekly Power Connection chat on Twitter Space every week, every Monday at 11 a.m. Today was 11:30 because I had a call with my kid's teacher, so I had to delay by 30 minutes. But we're doing it every week. And Indra and Melanie have always been my co-hosts. So make sure you follow Indra and Melanie here on Twitter as well as follow them on Twitter right now. Make sure you follow him on LinkedIn as well. And Sebastian's up here. Follow him too. He's a great guy as well. And he's actually on the Thought Leadership Brand Club team with me and Melanie. And I'll talk a bit about that. The Thought Leadership Brand Club is a membership community where we basically help brands and businesses and entrepreneurs and coaches and wherever you are try to help you elevate your thought leadership brand. So whether you're trying to be better at content, you're trying to be better at community building, you're trying to be better at getting more speaking gigs, if you're trying to leverage different platforms, you're trying to just get more focus on your business and have some accountability and crowdsourcing and support. Our community is that. We have weekly Zoom calls. We have mini trainings every week. We offer a ton of support. Just today, someone asked me to do a short video example on how to leverage an audio room, and so I'm going to do that tomorrow. And it's a very, very supportive community. And this week, actually, we have our Bring a Friend Day. And it's actually happening. We have 2 calls per week, one on Thursday at 4 p.m. Eastern, another one on Friday morning at 10 a.m. Eastern. And if you'd like to join our Zoom call and introduce yourself, meet a bunch of diverse, amazing experts from all around the world, if you want to pitch your brand, pitch your business, and maybe learn something, I'd love to have you join us. So just DM me or DM Melanie or Melanie as well. And we can send you the link on how to join our Bring a Friend Day, which is at 4 p.m. on Thursday and 10 a.m. on Friday. You can go to both, or you can just pick one, whatever works for you. But you're welcome to go to both. We do this at the end of every month, and we'd love to have you. You can see what our community is all about. You get a sense of why it's important to be part of a community. But I can tell you that there's huge benefits for being part of it. So let me know, and I'd love to have you be part of that. With that, I think if anybody has any other questions they want to come on stage, you're more than welcome to. But I think that I'd like to close the room. I actually have a boatload of calls today, which is a good thing, although not very rare for a Monday. But I have like 6 calls today. Holy shish kebab. So I got to make sure. I know that's a lot. Normally, I usually put my calls on Tuesdays and Thursdays, but for some reason, I just happened. I woke up like, holy cow, what is this? There was 4 this morning, so it was nuts. Anyway, but let's have some final thoughts. And I also, again, there's a pinned tweet that Indra put. There's also a pinned tweet on. You can see my project, what I'm up to. I run rooms also on Tuesdays at 4 o'clock. I'm doing another one on Thursday at 2 p.m. Eastern on LinkedIn Audio. And I'm also running a thought leadership branding workshop in June. So it's quite a ways from now for the most part. Right now, I'm focusing on my TEDx stuff and booking calls to help people land a TEDx talk. That's my main thing right now. But I want to have some final thoughts on the topic today. So let's start with Melanie, and then we'll go to Indra.
My final thought today is just really don't be afraid to do the deep dive. Don't be afraid to do it really, yeah, it is, I'm not going to lie. It is kind of hard work. And sometimes you get kind of stuck on things and you're like, I don't really know if that resonates with, me, or, you'll kind of maybe feel a little wishy-washy if you're thinking about what is your why, or who's your audience, who's your kind of dream client. But once you find that, like once something's going to resonate with your gut, it's just going to speak to you and you're going to know it. And then once you find that, once you get through that hurdle, then the rest honestly starts to kind of fall into place. And it all, and then it feels a little bit easier. And it's because it's speaking, to that intuition of yours. You're listening to that. You're listening to your higher self in that sense. And so once you follow that, it's just really important for you to, it's just really important for you to do this, whether you are seeking a job, whether you're an entrepreneur, whether you're established in your career, whatever the case may be, you owe it to yourself to follow it. So I hope this conversation helps somebody out there today.
Wonderful.
Andrew, go ahead.
I just love what Melanie just added. My last words today on this topic. So many great things have been shared in the space. How to grow your brand for business, career, and a better life. And the last thought that I want to share with everybody is about being authentic. Now, there's so many things that you can focus on and grow on and develop, and just make sure it's being authentic to you. Don't be a copycat and you see somebody else doing something and you want to jump on that. Okay, so do you, find the things that are authentic to you, and you might have to go off searching. It's really easy to not be in tune with yourself. And the thing is that you'll know because your brand isn't growing, because it's not really being authentic to yourself. So when you are authentic, things just start to flow naturally. And that's something that, we've heard here in this space from Bobby, from Melanie, that things all of a sudden, like, they just start to flow. And also, I can say that for myself, because you connect to the topic, you connect to the content, you're very, very passionate about it, and you're presenting your own unique idea. So that's what's really important. I feel, be authentic and be true to yourself, and always kind of, don't be afraid to try new things. When we're on this journey, Bobby's always been very encouraging, to try new things with your content. He's always, he's constantly experimenting, trying new things. He's sharing different pieces of himself out there. He shared his weight loss journey. He shared all sorts of things, so, and the thing is that he's got a personal brand and people are curious. So that's a good thing, to try new things. If it doesn't work, that's okay. Nobody's going to be penalizing you. It's your brand, so do you. But most importantly, find out what's authentic for you, and do that thing. And you can build a very strong personal brand with credibility, that your audience will see, and they'll say, wow, this is just incredible, because really, you're a thought leader in that area. Nobody else is doing that, and that's unique. So you want to be unique, you want to have that. Okay, so I just want to inspire everybody to find their thing, whatever that thing is, to not stop until you find that thing, to experiment, to make mistakes, because the thing is that making mistakes is part of the journey, and that's how we really learn. I can't tell you how many mistakes I've made on my journey, and I continue to. I probably will make more today. And it is part of the journey to embrace, and just always pick up the lesson from that and then move forward. Take a breath, take a moment, and move forward. So there's some last thoughts. And I hope that to see a lot of you in the Wednesday space with Success Minded. We are talking about tuning in to your self-belief. So that would really go nicely in building that next level. If you want to apply it to your brand, to you in life, to any aspect, to your work life, tuning into your self-belief. So we've got lots in store for that space on Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I just want to give a shout out to everybody that has joined in the space here. Thank you so much, everybody, to this wonderful community here. We really appreciate you. And until Wednesday, I'm sending you all love, light, and blessings.
Awesome. Thanks, Indra. And I want to remind everybody that this replay is available for folks. So if you got something out of it, I mean, I encourage you to take the replay, share 1, 2, or 3 things you learned from today, and then, retweet it to your followers because they're going to get value from it. You tag me, tag Indra, tag Melanie, and I see it. I'll then retweet to my followers, which will help you because it'll bring you more followers because it's a win-win. You're sharing the love, and I'm sharing retweeting to my 500,000 followers that I have here. Same thing with Instagram or LinkedIn. If you want to take a photo and share here the 3 things learned today, and then share the link to the replay, then I'll be able to see it. I'll like and click on it. I'll comment on it. You tag me, and again, it gets seen by my 35,000 on Instagram or my 47,000 on LinkedIn. So take advantage. That's a great way to put some content there and create win-wins for folks. With that, again, if you want to grow your brand for a business career and a better life, you have to put in the work. And you may think it's work, but the question is, are you willing to fight for your life? Are you willing to fight for the best life for your business, the best life for your career, the best life for your relationships, the best life for your love, for your purpose, your legacy, your story, to share the authentic journey? You have to fight for that life that you want, that's aligned with who you are, with your values, that you care about. So you have the impact, and you have the story to share, and you can create the positive result. But you have to put the work in. You have to ask for help. You have to, again, fight. If you're willing to fight for this, I'm willing to fight with you and for you. I'm willing to be there in these calls and everything else that I'm doing to help folks because you are my purpose. You are, part of my story. You are part of my legacy, my impact. And I care about everyone here in this room. I care about Indra and Melanie and Sebastian on stage here because they're my friends. Although what's interesting, I've never met any of them personally, but I feel close to all 3 of them, having worked with them for over a year or so digitally. And, I also care about the people in these rooms who come in every week. Some of you come here all the time, which is great. I know who you are and I appreciate you. So put the work in, fight for the best life you have. I'm here to fight with you. And I hope you join me next week for the Power of Connection Twitter space. All the best to you. Have a wonderful, wonderful week. And I'll talk to you soon. Take care. Oh, and last thing I'll say, Bring a Friend Day, TLB Club, Thought Leadership Brand Club, Thursday, 4 p.m., Friday, 10 a.m. All you got to do is ping me, and I'll send you the link to join us. Okay, so think about that, and we'll see you soon. Take care, everybody. Bye.